is one of the most prestigious organizations of the country, conducting exams for some of the reputed government jobs belonging to Group A services. But let us talk about just one exam of UPSC, that is the Civil Services Examination and the examination for the Forest Services. The exam is conducted in 3 stages with prelims, mains as well as interview, and it takes almost a year to just finish off the exam. By the time interview gets over, we are left with, let's say, a month's time for the next prelims. तो किसी बच्चे ने जो मेहनत किया होगा, 1 साल की मेहनत के बाद, let's say the candidate doesn't clear the interview, the candidate is left with just less than a month's time to prepare for the prelims exam. So there are of course such kind of results wherein the candidate was not able to clear previous cycle's interview, and as a consequence the candidate could not prepare for prelims और उसकी अगली 1 साल भी waste हो जाती है. Now you imagine some of the best years of youth, जो हमारी working age population का सबसे बड़ा capital है, social capital है, इस age में बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा enthusiasm और emotional investment के साथ इस exam की तैयारी करते हैं, और अगर वो exam final stage में भी clear ना हो पाए, then the candidate has not just lost that 1 year, that much amount of GDP the country could not earn, that much amount of emotional loss the candidate will suffer from, and the candidate is left with almost nothing in hand, no job, nothing. इसके अलावा there is of course the dependency, parents पर dependency है, और एक youth के लिए this is not a good thing. So obviously the candidate falls into depression. Very large cases में the candidate enters into depression. अगर कैंडिडेट स्ट्रांग रहा तो देन देयर आर ऑप्शंस, देन द कैंडिडेट विल बैकट्रैक और किसी ना किसी और जॉब में एम्प्लॉय हो जाएगा. But unfortunately there are such cases also wherein the candidate has moved back to the village land and started working into agriculture sector or started opening up a cyber cafe. To solve all such kind of problems, UPSC has recently introduced a new scheme called the Pratibha Setu. But before we delve into the features of these schemes, I have an important announcement to make that we are starting up with a new batch in the month of August on 9th as well as 11th, that is weekdays and weekend batch. If we talk about some of the important features associated to the classes being conducted at Legacy IAS Academy, we of course have classes in a very small batch that increases the overall attention of the faculties towards the candidate. But despite of this fact, if the candidate is introvert in asking questions in the class, there is of course the option of contacting with the mentors or the faculties in a one-to-one mentorship pattern. Just studying is not enough. We very well know this fact, and that is why regular prelims test will be conducted at the end of each chapter. Additionally, the faculties will also make the candidates write answers with respect to the mains related topic in class itself and give the model answer for the same question. So of course, the candidates are directed in a correct path, and of course there is a regular tracking of the progress of the candidate. The candidate has an accountability, answerability to the faculties, what have they done in the previous few months, few days and few weeks. So that ensures that the candidate is completely focused towards the exam with the help of the faculties. So please don't wait. The number is mentioned here, 9606900004 or 9606900005. You can also scan the QR code or click on the description that is mentioned below. Now moving on to this Pratibha Setu. What is Pratibha Setu? As the name suggests, the talent will be bridged. Pratibha will be having some kind of bridge, and we will be able to ensure that this talent who has cleared prelims as well as mains, the candidates are very, very talented, and this stage of youth should not go for unemployment. To ensure this, UPSC has initiated with this Pratibha Setu program. UPSC has launched a Pratibha Setu scheme that for all the exams that UPSC conduct, with barring few exceptions, for largely all the exams that UPSC conducts, if the candidate has cleared, let's say, the prelim stage, main stage and not interview, so these will be considered as the non-recommended candidates. Mark this is very important, that UPSC doesn't call them as failed candidate. So it is very, very important for us also to understand that these candidates have not failed. They have gained immense amount of knowledge preparing for the exam for past 1, 2, 3 and 4 years. So the UPSC puts them as not recommended candidates and non-recommended candidates. Such candidates, if they are willing, they can give data, ask UPSC to share these data with other employers. Who are these other employers? It can be government, it can be other PSU and private entities who can recruit them. So not recommended and willing candidates, UPSC will be sharing the details under the Pratibha Setu portal. So there will be a dedicated app regarding this. Now why is it so important? ये इतना जरूरी क्यों होता है? If we look at some of the important statistics with respect to the total number of exams that are conducted by UPSC across a year, it is roughly around 10 exams. If we talk about these 10 regular exams, because UPSC is one such board which has never failed in carrying out an impartial, unbiased, clearly stated exam. With, of course, no state. There are state government exams, there are state PSU exams, wherein the exams have not been conducted, state services exams, where the exams have not been conducted for years together. But UPSC has never carried out this kind of exercise. There are 10 regular exams, and every year there are approximately 11,000 non-recommended candidates. So this is a very bright talent pool who have turned out to be country's top 1,000 population, or some of the best, brightest minds of the country. And if they go unemployed just because they were not able to clear the final stage of examination, this is a huge waste of the talent pool. If we talk about only civil services examination, approximately 250,000 people filled the form in 2012. Currently, we have approximately 8 lakh applications coming up for UPSC Civil Services examination. That is the total number of candidates who have filled the form. But if we talk about the total selection, final selection is only 1,000. Less than 1,000 also largely. So out of 8 lakh candidates in Civil Services examination, less than 1,000 candidates get selected. Of course, there is a very large talent pool which has been rejected. If the candidate has cleared the prelim stage as well as main stage also, UPSC considers, also understand that this is a very bright mind. They are capable candidate, might be not just right for UPSC as of now. So in that case, UPSC has started recommending these candidates to the private sector and other employers as well. So on this portal, talking about the Pratibha Setu portal, who can register? If we talk about employees and employers. So employees are basically the candidates of UPSC exam, and for that you will have to fill an option with UPSC. While filling the form of UPSC, you will have to fill an option wherein you are ready to share the details. That is where we ensure that the willingness of the candidate will be judged, whether the candidate is willing to enter into private sector jobs also, because there are, of course, so many candidates who do not want to enter into private sector. So if the candidate are willing, that they want UPSC to share their details with the private sector, they can do so. Talking about the candidates who have qualified mains but have not come in the final list, that is interview not qualified candidate, they will be granting consent to UPSC to share the data, and that data will be shared at the Pratibha Setu portal. Now talking about the employer, where can they get recruited? If we talk about the employer, then the private companies will be having a corporate identification number. Every private company having a corporate identification number is recognized by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Now, because they are recognized, so the candidate can also get rest assured that this is a valid company with a valid GSTIN number and is actually ready to recruit them. But other than private companies, it can also be government entities or PSUs. So far, approximately 107 organizations have registered under the Pratibha Setu portal and are ready to employ some of the candidates, some of the bright minds who have not been accepted by UPSC. Now, talking about which exams what all candidates, for example, we spoke about 10 regular exams conducted by UPSC. And we also spoke about this fact that not all, there are, of course, barring few exceptions, there are certain exceptions for which this will be not valid. That is, Pratibha Setu portal option is not valid for certain exams. So which exams are included and which exams are excluded? Talking about the exams that are included, includes civil services examination, forest services, central armed police forces, engineering services, combined medical services, Indian economic and statistical services, combined geoscientist exam, and combined defense services. But talking about the exams that are not included, we have the NDA exam, that is National Defense Academy. We also have the Naval Academy. Naval Academy candidates will also not be given an option to get recruitment under Pratibha Setu portal. Additionally, there are other exams also. For example, limited departmental competitive examinations. For example, CBI के जो DSP होते हैं, such kind of candidates will not be given an option under Pratibha Setu portal to get recruited by some other private companies or government entities or even PSUs. Now, the most interesting part of Pratibha Setu portal is this, that UPSC will also be tracking selections. In fact, UPSC has given an option to the employer that you will have to upload a copy of the appointment letter at the Pratibha Setu portal, just so that we can check the success rate of the Pratibha Setu portal. There will be regular calls from UPSC to the employer, to the company, to the private or public or PSU companies to check the progress, whether the candidate has been selected or not. Overall, this is being done to check the success of the Pratibha Setu portal itself. Now, talking about the Pratibha Setu portal, this is not new. Actually, we had a scheme in 2018 itself by the name Public Disclosure Scheme. Public Disclosure Scheme has been upgraded in 2024 to the Pratibha Setu portal. Talking about the Public Disclosure Scheme, this was restricted to the government entities and PSU. Now under the Pratibha Setu portal, this has now been expanded to the private entities as well. Widening the scope of the employers, it has also improved the overall success rate. If we talk about the public disclosure scheme, UPSC used to just release those information. For example, these are the set of non-recommended candidates. If you want, you can take them. Okay? But now, at the Pratibha Setu portal, there is registration and verification of the employers. So the employers will also be verified, as we discussed, through corporate identification number granted by Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Additionally, there will be an opt-in model for the candidate. So the candidate can also choose whether they want to proceed with the private sector or not. If we talk about the public disclosure scheme, obviously that was having a very low success rate. Neither the government entities nor the PSUs were very much interested in taking these candidates. But Pratibha Setu portal, because it has taken into account the private sector also, so now we have a wider scope of the employers. Talking about the public disclosure scheme, they never used to track about the success of the candidate. So whatever be the problem with the scheme, with the website, that was not being found out. On the other hand, Pratibha Setu portal mein, as we discussed, because the appointment letter copy has to be also uploaded. So the success rate, whether the scheme is being successful or not, have we been able to acquire such kind of talent or not, all of that will be monitored. Additionally, there was no option to shortlist the candidate. The candidates were just mentioned in an Excel sheet. On the other hand, the Pratibha Setu portal has an option of shortlisting the candidate, not just shortlisting. Wish listing of the candidate is also an option in the Pratibha Setu portal. So the employer can wish list certain candidates on the basis of the short, crisp biodata that has been mentioned, and then carry out the interview process and the recruitment process to recruit that candidate into the private sector. So that is how the public disclosure scheme has been improved to the Pratibha Setu portal scheme, and this has increased the overall success rate. One example of this is ESIC has recruited 451 medical officers via the Pratibha Setu portal of UPSC. So there has been rising cases of talent recruitment because of Pratibha Setu portal. Now, talking about some of the important significance of why Pratibha Setu portal, or for that matter public disclosure scheme, was also introduced is because we need to understand this fact that success beyond selection is another important thing associated to UPSC. UPSC has tried to imbibe this fact that success does not just mean that your name should have entered into that list or not. There is some kind of talent acquisition. You do have some kind of talent and you should not demean yourself. That is what UPSC is trying to emphasize through the Pratibha Setu portal. Another significance is the overall national capacity building, because we have trained the candidate. The candidate has also already studied all through the years of life, has invested so much amount of time to invest and get recruited. So the candidate is already a very talented pool, belonging to a talented pool. In that case, this is an already national capacity building. The capacity building has already been carried out. So they can get easily recruited into private sector or PSU or government entities. Additionally, it overall reduces the underemployment. I need to emphasize this fact that we are not talking about unemployment, we are talking about underemployment. Underemployment basically means that the candidate is capable of something and is actually not working up to their potential. It is the candidate is working less than their potential. So this kind of underemployment can be reduced. Overall, it improves the talent utilization and bridges the aspirations and opportunities. And that is why the name called Pratibha Setu. With that, we come to the end of this topic. If you have any doubt, please do let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much and all the very best.